Why Alan Ritchson won't consider a Reacher movie. It would probably do a disservice. Alan Ritchson explains why he's not interested in doing a Reacher movie. Prime Video's breakaway action hit just wrapped up Season 3, an adaptation of Lee Child's book Persuader, pitting Jack against a haunting figure from his past and his gigantic henchman. With Reacher Season 4 still to come, the idea has been floated that it's time to take Ritchson's hulking TV hero to the big screen, expanding the franchise's scope beyond its current streaming platform. But Ritchson himself is not among those calling for a Reacher movie, explaining that he thinks abandoning the 8-episode TV format in favor of one-off movies would do a disservice to the books via Men's Journal. I can't speak to movies. I enjoy the format that we've got so much, and it works so well where we do a book a season. I think 8 episodes seem to be the perfect amount of time to break out a book. I think it would probably do a disservice to the books. I don't know if I'd fight for films. I like being able to weave in what feels like 2, 3, or 4 films around Reacher throughout the year. I'm happy with the way things are. What Ritchson's movie remarks mean for the Reacher franchise. Child's Jack Reacher first hit the big screen back in 2012, with no less a cinematic eminence than Tom Cruise in the role. Fans of the book scoffed at the relatively diminutive Cruise, playing a character famous for his imposing physical dimensions, but his Jack Reacher proved reasonably successful, grossing $218 million on a budget of $60 million. Cruise returned for 2016's Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, which grossed a modest $162 million. As much as hardcore child fanatics disliked Cruise's Reacher, that's how high they have been on Ritchson's interpretation of the character throughout Reacher's Prime Video run. Ritchson's own career has exploded thanks to the hit show, landing him in major movies like Fast X, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and the upcoming Arnold Schwarzenegger holiday action comedy Team Up the Man with the Bag. It sounds from his remarks as though Ritchson is content to keep doing Reacher on streaming while continuing to pursue a parallel movie star path. Should things not work out for him on the big screen, Ritchson will always have Reacher, whose adventures could seemingly go on for many more years with the character likely never changing one single iota. Our take on Ritchson not wanting Reacher movies. Ritchson makes a good point in endorsing the 8-episode TV format as the ideal way to present Child's novels. While it is conceivable that the books could be boiled down to movie length indeed, it's already been done. With Cruise's films, such one-off Reacher adaptations would lose a lot of the character and build-up that are key elements of the series. When Prime Video's Reacher stormed onto screens, fans of Lee Child's novels felt a collective sigh of relief. At last, here was a version of Jack Reacher that felt like the character they had imagined through 28 novels, tall, imposing, thoughtful, and quiet with a simmering intensity. Alan Ritchson, the actor who brought that Reacher to life, became an overnight fan favorite. His performance felt so natural, so deeply attuned to the source material that it raised a new question. Could Reacher transition to the big screen again? Could Ritchson's version anchor a cinematic blockbuster? For Ritchson, the answer is a firm no. Greater than, it would probably do a disservice, he said in an interview, brushing off speculation about a potential Reacher film. At first glance, it's a surprising stance. In an industry where actors often chase larger franchises, bigger budgets, and more spotlight, Ritchson seems almost allergic to the idea. But the truth behind his resistance is both artistic and deeply respectful of the character, the audience, and the power of long-form storytelling. A tall order, redeeming Reacher. To understand why Ritchson is hesitant, you have to revisit where Reacher has been. The first cinematic interpretation of Jack Reacher came in 2012, with Tom Cruise taking on the role. While Cruise's performance was sharp, many fans of the novels couldn't look past the obvious. Cruise is 5'7", while Reacher is 6'5" and 250 pounds. Lee Child described his character as a force of nature, someone whose physicality alone could diffuse a room. Cruise, for all his charisma, simply wasn't that. When Amazon announced a new series with Alan Ritchson, an actor who matched the character's build almost eerily well, fans were cautiously hopeful. And once the show aired, that hope turned into fervent enthusiasm. Ritchson didn't just look the part, he felt like Reacher. He brought a quiet menace, dry wit, and deeply methodical logic to the role. The show's first season, based on Killing Floor, was a hit. The second, adapted from Bad Luck and Trouble, cemented his place in the Reacher pantheon. So why not bring that winning formula to the big screen? More than muscle, the art of long-form Reacher. In Ritchson's eyes, the key lies in time. Time to build atmosphere. Time to show Reacher thinking rather than just acting. Time to let the slow, ticking dread of small-town corruption or shadowy military conspiracies unfold. Greater than Jack Reacher isn't a superhero, Ritchson has said. He's a human scalpel. Precise. Quiet. And the stories are puzzles, not just punch-ups. And he's right. While Reacher can dismantle 5 guys in a bar without breaking a sweat, the real thrill comes from watching him unravel complex mysteries with nothing more than his memory, instinct, and moral code. A 2-hour film might deliver the fists and explosions, but it risks losing the character's process. The investigation. The silences. The moments between the mayhem. Streaming allows for that. In 8 episodes, the Prime Video series gives space for tension to build. It allows secondary characters to develop, relationships to matter, and stakes to escalate with emotional weight. A film, Ritchson argues, would collapse all of that. Greater than, it would be action without substance. That's not Reacher. Respecting the fans and the books, Ritchson's devotion to the role isn't just professional, it's personal. He has spoken at length about his respect for the fans of Lee Child's books. Many of these readers have lived with Jack Reacher for decades. They know his quirks, his rules, no phones, no baggage, always coffee, and his wandering code of honor. They're not just looking for spectacle, they're looking for authenticity. A movie risks turning Reacher into just another action hero. That's a label the books, and now the series, actively resist. In Ritchson's mind, doing a movie might not just fail to capture the magic, it might undermine what's been built. Greater than, you build trust with an audience, he said. You don't squander that on something that just checks boxes. The streaming revolution, there's also the reality that television has changed. Once considered the little sibling of cinema, the streaming era has flipped the script. Shows like The Mandalorian, Stranger Things, The Boys, and Reacher have proven that serialized storytelling can have the same production value, audience reach, and cultural impact as blockbuster films. For an actor like Ritchson, who said he values depth over flash, that's gold. In fact, he's gone on record saying that he'd rather do 5 great seasons of Reacher than 1 okay movie. He knows that the format is his ally, not his limitation. And he's not chasing a franchise paycheck, he's chasing a legacy. What a Reacher movie would look like? Of course, we can speculate. If a Reacher movie were to happen, it would probably pull from one of the more action-heavy novels, 61 Hours, Persuader, or One Shot, which was already adapted with Cruise. It might feature exotic locations, bigger set pieces, and more of the high-octane thriller tone studios love. But at what cost? The danger is that Reacher becomes louder instead of smarter. That he becomes less about introspection and justice and more about body counts. That he stops being the character fans fell in love with. And that, in Ritchson's eyes, would be the real disservice. A character worth protecting,